Okay, guys, this is part 2 of our very fun Dragon Age discussion. If you don't know, now you know. Make sure you go to my girl Noria's channel or to my channel, depending on whichever one you see
Which
first.
one you seen first? Yes.
Right? Hopefully you sounded off in those comments, but we're going to continue with our questions. And yeah, is it my turn? Oh no, it's your turn.
Yes. No, it's just because I asked the last question, which was, oh no. You asked me what was my favorite Dragon Age game.
Yeah.
That was the last question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So go watch that video.
Please go watch the first part of the video, unless, like, on whichever channel it is.
Yeah.
Because we still would decide who gets what.
Yeah.
But just for you to understand, because of course we're going to reference things that we've said previously and all of that, just so that you can track on, because I think it's been entertaining having this conversation with Micah. And I'm so happy we get to do this, essentially in anticipation for Dragon Age The Veilguard, which is dropping next week. We are not here about to tell you how to spend your money, but if you've pre-ordered it, awesome. If you're waiting on the first day of release to confirm, awesome. All we're just happy about is that we all get the chance to return to Thedas in a bit and be a part of this world and meet these characters, which is a perfect segue for me to ask my next question. Who are the 3 standout characters for you so far from what we've seen and heard from Dragon Age The Veilguard?
Okay. Now, I'm biased by saying Davrin, okay?
Of course.
But yeah, Davrin is definitely a standout for me, especially when I saw the initial trailer and I saw him with the Vallaslin on his head. I knew what that meant, and his ears. I was like, that's a black elf. What the? And he was a warden. I don't know. Those 2 things. It's my spirit sung. That's the best way to put it. I was like, him. I'm so intrigued. And I everything we've seen so far of him and his voice actor, I love it. I love his voice. I love the fact that he has this baby griffin. There's just something about Davrin. Yeah, it's just something about Davrin. He stands out for so many things. For me, he seems cool. That's another thing. He just seems cool, right?
So cool.
Right? And then I love him in combat where he calls down death from above, which is Asan, and it's just Asan is so adorable. So Davrin definitely. I would say next is my girl Nev. Nev. There is something about her when you first meet her, and you'll have to check out Noria's video on her when she's talking about all the companions and gift giving. But when you first meet her, and she's like, Nev, she's like, Harding, Varric, not the worst timing. And I was sold. And it was like, Harding was like, Nev, I thought they kidnapped you. And she's like, oh, so did they. The drip on that woman. She an ice queen for a reason, okay? I like everything about her. And the more we're getting, just like with Deb, the more we get to see of her, to see her with her hair down and just being a detective and just being who she is, unapologetically her, I like it. I like everything I'm seeing. And she's just so beautiful. I love her voice. The voice actress, Miss Clark, she has this way of speaking that's very no nonsense, and I like that about her. And I don't know, there's just something about Nev just so she's dripping with elegance. That's another thing about her that kind of reminds me a little bit of Vivienne. There's elegance to her, and I like that. And it's just those kind of things that does my head in, and I just And then I would say third is my boy Emmerich. Emmerich is a character. When I first saw him do his little thing and he goes like this and it says Emmerich and it's this green magic, I was like, ooh, necromancer. I've always been fascinated with death and understanding and this and the living and the dead and the veil and the fade and seeing spirits and all that stuff. Something about him just, it intrigues me. And then when you hear Karen Bush talk about him and how they spent necromancy on its head, I'm here for it. I said in the first half of this video, I'm very into spiritual. I'm very into understanding it, being connected. Noria and I have also talked about it a little bit more in depth off camera between one another. Camera. Yeah, and it's just, he's a character I'm very intrigued by. I want to understand how he sees death. Does he see it the way I see it, as a continuation of life? It's just the next step. What makes it so frightening to most, because we don't know what's on the other side. But I don't know. I want to know his story, especially after, for Neb and for Emmerich, they have been in other stories. They've been in other media. And so we get a little taste of them. And honestly, the taste wasn't enough. So I want more, I want more. And those are the three. Don't get me wrong. Balara, Lucanus, especially Tosh, Harding, I love them and I want to know more of them, but just those three hit me in a way I was shook of. And I need more, but how about you? Who are your three standouts?
Right? It's so funny because as I asked the question, I was like, oh shit, do I have three? Can I limit myself to just three? Because like you said, they're all fascinating characters, right? And,
absolutely.
It just became a case of who drew you in first.
Yeah.
Right? Who are the first people that just caught your attention? So for me, I would say Tosh first.
Yeah.
Tosh, because of the fact, just a heads up, I'm going to keep using she, they pronouns for them. Because of the fact that based off of what we've heard about them so far, in even across the different videos and some media, sometimes they use she, her, sometimes they use they, them. So I do think that they probably use the she, they pronouns for Tash. And so with Tash, the reason why she stands out for me, and I've said it several times on my channel about how, she's definitely the sugar mommy of the group. I love the fact that she's always dripping in jewels. And I'm like, lots of fortune! Let's go! But I honestly think that it's because of the fact that of all the characters we see, she has this intensity. And I spoke about this earlier, about how that is something that Dragon Age as a franchise has helped me come to terms with, and how it's changed my life. It's helped me accept the fact that I am a very intense person, and I see that with Tash. I think it's the way in which they carry themselves. I think it's the way in which, when you see them, they're the one of the companions that we've seen the least amount about, that we don't really know them. And I think that the writers did that on purpose to just make them more intriguing to me personally, because I'm like, why don't I know a lot about you, Tash? Who are you? What's your deal? Also because they are written by Trick. And I'm like, Trick Weeks has always, come through for me with regards to the depth of the characters, like we said earlier, from Morden to Solus. I'm intrigued. They even wrote Iron Bull. So I'm intrigued with, the layers with which they can bring that Tash has that we've not been able to see yet. So they are absolutely intriguing for me because I want to know more. The little glimpse, that whole thing when BioWare puts out the little videos on Instagram with the reels of the companions. There's this shot, and also because I'm a thirsty ass bitch, and as
let the thirst flow.
I'm gonna lie, it is also because of the thirst. Because that video, there's this way in which they stand up and then they jump down, and I'm like, and then the bottom clip. They're sitting, legs spread, and then they smirk, and I'm like, Yes.
Yeah.
So personally, I would say standout. One, because like I said, we don't really know as much about them, but I also find it fascinating. They're a female Kunari, clearly a warrior, definitely a dragon hunter. So this is somebody that we can see, we can deduce they live for the thrill, they live for the danger. It makes sense that they're a lot of fortune as well. Right? Because they are deep on that. And I just think they will bring a fascinating perspective, because I also did enjoy Iron Bull in Dragon Age Inquisition. So that's the first person. This is so hard.
Right. It is.
Because how am I just meant to pick only 3? Okay. Secondly, I honestly think Lucanus.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that, you know, we've heard a lot about the crows. The Antivan crows have been a constant across the Dragon Age franchise, right? So we know a lot about them, but we don't know a lot about the ruling families.
Yeah.
Right? So the fact that Lucanus is a character from the first Talon, right, is something that already draws me in, because then by extension, we know that his story is going to be markedly different. Like his history, what he had to go through will be totally different from what Zevran experienced, and will be totally different from Fenris's experience. And so therefore, I am intrigued by that, because I'm like, we've met other crows, right, who have shown us the slavery side of being, you know, of the crows of Antiva. Yeah. And so to then have this person who is considered somewhat of a prince, in the sense that, you know, he's the beloved grandson, you know, and we know his grandmother is the first Talon. So all these things makes me even more, I find him very intriguing as a character, because then I want to know more. We do get a glimpse of spite with Lucanus, and so I am very intrigued, because that is yet another dynamic that I find fascinating. I think that Lucanus's positioning as this socially inept, socially awkward assassin is fantastic. It is. Because all the assassins we've met so far have been charming. Yeah. Have been gregarious. And so, you know, it's another thing, because you're meeting, or I've been weird and cookie like Cole, even though technically Cole is an assassin, but we know he's not a crow. But you know, he still falls within that. But you're meeting an assassin who would rather just sit in his room with cheese wheels, and I find that fascinating, because I'm like, Lucanus just wants to cook, wants to be alone, would like to avoid crowds and people. Right. And you know, there's this part in Tevinter Nights when they're describing him, and they're like, is the person who, you know, every eye is drawn to him. You cannot look away from him, and then his eyes meet yours. And I'm like,
we know. Yeah.
That is good. Yeah. We know. So, Lucanus second. Third for me is, I am going to have to go with my girl Nev.
There's something about her.
Because of the fact that, once again, she's the companion we know the most about, and yet we know nothing about her at the same time. That part. Because we've seen more of her than the other companions. But what do we know about Nev, other than the fact that she's a detective? We know she's a cynic, and I addressed that in my companion gifts, and we know that you know she definitely has the drip, but we know nothing about her backstory. We know nothing about why she decided to become a member of the Shadow Dragon. We know nothing about, you know, why. Of course, we have an idea of why the Venatori is after her, but why is she so set on uprooting and destroying this institution? What did they do that made her so cynical and so desperate for change? I love that. I love that. I'm just. Whew. Also, she's hot. Just in case y'all could not tell.
Right, mommy cute.
Just in case y'all could not tell.
Right.
I have the first, and it's funny because I did not mention my romance option in any of this, but we're going to get to the romance part.
We'll get to that later. Yeah.
But yes, so definitely Nev.
No, and see, and what I forgot to mention about Davern is that they say is that he'd rather be someone who makes history than reflect on it. And I can relate to that too. Like there are things about these characters that I believe the devs when they say this is going to be the most intense romantic and like character
driven,
character driven, and you can see that even though, like you said about Tosh, we know the least about them, but there is something about them stands out. And let's just be honest, Tosh is hot. We want to make her our pudding, okay? Harley Quinn is real.
The fact that Corey, in her interview with the IGN, and she was like, the steamiest romance is Tosh, and I'm like, of course it would be Kunari,
right?
And she looks like that,
right?
They are Kunari and they look like that, and they move through their world like that. Why would it not be steamy? I could have told you all for free.
Look, y'all, we got a problem and we don't care. We're not ashamed about admitting it, okay? We're not ashamed.
We are not ashamed at all. Not at all.
Yeah, so guys, who are the 3 standouts for you, if you can limit it to 3? Because as you can see, we struggled with this.
It was hard.
The first trailer of The Veilguard. What were your thoughts? Because this is a huge point of contention within the fandom.
Yeah.
And a lot of people had issue with it. But I wanted to know, how did you feel about it?
One, I was excited. Because I'm sorry. I know I've not been waiting for 10 years, but I've been waiting for 7, which is a lot.
Same.
And for the longest time, we only had that pretty art and Varric's voiceover.
That part.
To process and ponder on. And of course, there's the other trailer with the different gods, and we're like, we're trying to piece. So for the longest time, all we were doing was piece things together. The first thing I thought was excitement that there was a trailer. And they were like, coming for 2024. I'm like, we're getting it this year.
Yeah, it was that part that I was like, wait, my heart.
I was excited. And then, we got to meet the different companions, and I was like, get it. I love that. And then it was later when I went back on Twitter, when I went back on social media, and then I saw that the trailer got such a bad reaction. Yeah. And I was like, why? People are like, oh, it's cartoony, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's stylized, right? I wouldn't consider it cartoony. It's stylized, but also maybe because I'm somebody that does like animation, but also I like a very good story. And I do believe that you do get used to things. And this is me saying this as a One Piece fan.
Come on now.
Who should have started watching One Piece in 2007?
When it first came out.
No, it wasn't even when it first came out, right? Because it came out in 1999. But I was still watching Rurouni Kenshin and all of that before that. But in 2008, my bestie and I, we got to watch the first 10 minutes of One Piece because somebody had the DVD and was like, oh, you should check this out, it's so cool. We watched it and we're like, what the hell? To give you context, at that point, we were watching Naruto, we were watching Bleach, we were watching Kurosushi, that is Black Butler. We had finished. So we were like, what is this art style?
Everyone's so drastically different.
Ugly. We were like, it looks so ugly, ew. And so we're like, nope, not interested. Fast forward a decade after that, and I would die.
So good. He's my favorite. He's my favorite. He's my favorite.
Because Luffy, baby. So yes, I am a big One Piece fan. If you watch my channel, you can the entire manga you can see in the background. That is the entirety. I collect the One Piece manga. I am waiting for volume 5 to come out so I can get that. And I'm certain that now that we're done with Wano, we're going to get that. But sorry, I digress. I'm somebody that, I know that even if it is that initially I might not like the style of the art, I eventually get used to it, especially if I'm really drawn into the story. So I was I did not even mind the art, but 2, even if I minded the art, I would still have enjoyed it because it's a story.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh, it was very dramatic. And that was when I now said, yeah, but that is because the person that is narrating is fucking Varric Tethras. So when everybody was like, and I'm like, are we unaware that Varric is a writer given to grand tales and flashy introductions? That is what he does. So the fact that he's the one telling harden. Introducing the different, like, that was how I read it. I read it as Varric being Varric, introducing these companions in the most dramatic way it can possibly can, because it's Varric. Even down to the different titles. I'm like, so when I was like, well, it's Varric. It's what Varric does, right? Varric is the kind of person that you're like, Varric, what would you say about the Inquisitor? I am certain if you told Varric to introduce the Inquisitor, you'd be like, Varric, that is not the Inquisitor. That is not my Inquisitor. That is a lie, Varric. And Varric will tell you, but is the lie not more interesting? Because Varric would always be is a big fan of presentation and what is more eye-catching and what is more interesting. So I read that first trailer as Varric riffing off. Do I think that it should not have come first? Yes, I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
I think because of the fact that, because of the fandom and because of the fact that the way in which it would have been interpreted, everybody has been waiting for this game for years, for a decade. I do think that the first trailer should have been one that gives a hint of what the story would be like. So the second trailer we got, the one where where Morrigan is introduced, we see the Blight, we see the gods, we see Bellara being like, our gods did this, our gods, and then you have Nev being like, you and me, Rick, that's what scares me. Have I listened to that line way too many times? Yes, I have.
That part. So okay,
yes, I have. So I think that trailer should have dropped first, give people a wider view, glimpse of the world, and then it then becomes okay, but you see those characters you met in the trailer, here they are, and then we have the Varric introducing them one at a time, and so we're like, okay, so this and this, that makes sense. I think I don't have a problem with that trailer. I just think that it should have come as the second trailer that we were shown, because if they had gone that first trailer, the introduction, and then the gameplay, it would have been perfect. But that's just me. What about you?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I loved everything about that first trailer. I like the art, even the song. The song
was so.
Now a lot of people.
We will be heroes. I'm like,
right. Now, hear me out. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I agree, though. What should have been first was the release date trailer. That should have been first, then companion, then the 20-minute gameplay footage. Would have been chef's kiss, but they didn't do that. Oh well, hindsight is 2020. But back to why I love it. Do you remember the Dragon Age Day behind the scenes of BioWare, where you were seeing all the different devs talk about Dragon Age 4?
Talking about Dragon, yes.
There is a particular young woman, light skin, crinkly hair, very pretty. She said you get to choose what party member lives and what party member dies. And that buried itself into my spirit. And so I never forgot that. So when I see this trailer, and I hear Harding say, "You're not looking too good, old friend. We're gonna need some help." And again, it's Varric. I don't know. Did you play Dragon Age 2? Remember what Cassandra said? He spun me a story, and I ate it because he's good at telling.
Because that's what he does.
He's good at his job too. This is why he writes Sword and Shields and all his other serials. Hard and Hightown, honey. Read the Codex, you'll be surprised.
It is so fascinating.
Right? So with that all in my mind, then I see this trailer and my wife, Neb, steps out from the shadows. I knew who she was when I saw that peg leg. I don't know how I knew. I said, is that what? I was calling her Neve beforehand, but when
everybody was calling her Neve.
Yeah.
I was also calling her Neve.
Right? And I was like, this is my wife. I'm sold. I got to tell my real life wife I've got another one. And she going to get her ass kicked. Sorry, Neb. I'm just kidding. But when I saw that and I heard that music, that ramp up, for me, I was like, okay. I didn't see Hero Shooter, don't see Fortnite, and I don't see Pixar. I see stylized art. And then to give you a point like you did, people complain about this art. There's another game coming out that Calla Elizabeth shared. And also Calla Elizabeth is one of the incredible content creators.
Shout out, Calla. We love you.
Yeah. Her channel link will be in the video description. Make sure you check her out and support her. This woman is fantastic. She's shared this game called Exodus. I am so ready for Exodus. Y'all don't understand. If y'all don't know about it, go see Kala. She'll hook you up. That art is stylized. They have a hyper realistic texture, but it's stylized and it looks beautiful. It looks good. And people want to compare it to Pixar. Last time I checked, Pixar makes a lot of money, don't it? People like Pixar. So where I failed to see the insult within it looking like a Disney film. Because Pixar, you know, what did that Inside Out 2? That made a lot of money. With a B.
It's a
anyway.
It's a
maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I love the art. I have no problem with it. I still find every character beautiful. There it is. And especially when you see Davrin and it says we can be heroes, it had a haunted tone to it. It wasn't like we can be heroes and it's like all this but it was like we can be heroes and it echoed. It said just for one day. And you know what I thought about? Sacrificial lambs, all of them. The Veilguard is about sacrifice. Why?
All of them.
We are now trying to fix Solas's mistake, and these guardians, these guards of the veil, are going to risk it all. And why would a hero be so immortalized the way Varric is telling it, unless they died in service? And that's all I kept saying. That's all I kept seeing. And then when you see the end of the trailer and everybody's fighting together, call it what you want. But what I saw was, this is the last stand. It is us and the rest of the world, and we will give it all right here. And I interpret that as inside of the veil, or it could be maybe the veil has crumbled. I don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is that I was so here for it. It looked so good. It was epic. It was hype. There was just no hero shooter for me. I just saw it just like what you would Inquisition. Inquisition was more dark, but it had that same vibe. You saw Vivienne do her little wand thing, and there goes Iron Bull just breaking it with his hammer, being a badass, you know? And for me, that's how I interpreted this. And that's how I saw it. And so for me, it got 5 stars. I loved it. Because I understand the world, but I understood the man responsible who's telling this story. Now, there are BioWare devs that don't like this trailer. There are other people that are like, we don't like this trailer. And that's fair, because art is left up to interpretation and how you interpret it, how you see it. We're not saying you're wrong at all. If you just don't like it, hey, more power to you. But we're in the camp of do. We do, right?
We like it.
And so that is... And then and again, like Noria was saying, had they did that 20-minute gameplay with that epic music that Hans Zimmer made, oh my God. Hans Zimmer, if you see this video, thank you, sir. Thank you for everything you've given us.
Art.
This is, look, that Wonder Woman theme, that that is one of my favorite songs. I work out to that music. Okay, y'all don't even understand. I got a problem. Anywho, and the Veilguard theme, like that soft, and it builds. I don't know. I love it. I feel it. I feel it.
Comes down.
Look, Hans Zimmerman is who he is for a reason. Okay.
Yeah.
But anywho, so for me, had they did that trailer first, then the companions, then the 20-minute, none of this conversation will be happening. You might get a little bit of it, but it would be less of. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
But again, hindsight is 2020.
2020.
So that's my piece on it, and I'm gonna leave it there.
I agree a lot. And the part where you talked about final stand and sacrifice and stuff just makes me really connect. Like, I already had that vibe, and I loved it that it was confirmed that this is more Mass Effect 2.
Yeah,
because I enjoyed Mass Effect 2.
It's a good game.
This whole point of you get this crew together, and then you take them to this point where they might die.
Yeah.
Right? And the only way they survive is decisions and choices you've made since the start of the story to make sure that they make it.
Yeah.
And even the ones that make it don't necessarily make it to the end of Mass Effect 3.
That part.
So you might have saved them and worked extra hard and kept them and got them through the finish line in the second book. But the third, I said book, sorry, the second game. But the third game is where the last stand actually happens, and some of them do fall. They fall for the greater good, for the sacrifice. You get it, but you cry.
Yeah.
You know, does this unit have a soul? Always makes me cry.
Yeah.
You know, it had to be me. Someone else would have gotten it wrong. Always makes me cry. Even the Kalahira prayer with faith always makes me cry. So all of these things happen with the story, and like, you know, the way you cut the "we can be heroes," and I always think of it because, you know, a lot of the time when we think of heroes, like you said, we think of, oh, they did great things, they saved the world. But yes, but heroes die.
They do.
You know, they do.
Sometimes in service.
Sometimes in service. Sometimes they are hurt irrevocably. We need them. We need them to help save us, but it comes at a cost. You know, and it's also tied, and I think we're going to talk about this later, I'm not sure, but it also ties to the theme that the devs have talked about, that Veilguard is about regret.
Yep.
Because heroes want to save everybody, but you cannot save everybody. You can't even save yourself, can you?
No.
And that just it hits.
And then you think about Solus. Then tie it back with Solus and what he thinks he's doing. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, I'm sorry.
No, it's because it's all, no apologies necessary, because it's all interconnected and it's all intertwined, and it's so good.
Right?
It's so good.
Like, we haven't even played this game yet, and we're already salivating.
And I think it's a perfect segue to my question, which is about: do you have any theories about Veilguard? Because we've already started going into what we're theorizing, and I think let's just make it official.
Right?
So do you add? Of course, this is not just to Micah, to everybody watching as well. Just please drop it in the comments. What are your theories about Veilguard?
Oh my goodness. Okay, now throughout this entire thing, there's been a hot take: the longevity of Varric within this story. Now, to a lot of people, they think Varric is gone, and I say nay. I don't think they would kill such a critical character. Now, understanding they wanted to kill him off in 2, but they never did, and they kept him around. Thank you, BioWare.
We're grateful, BioWare.
Right, we're grateful, honey. But our beloved, sexy as fuck dwarf, whose chest we all want to touch. Let's be real, the thirst is there. Bianca be damned. But I don't think they would kill him. Here's why. Here's Micah's theory. This is one of my theories. Is that what we don't see in that 20-minute gameplay footage, they were some smart mofos. They knew how to clip and cut and snip and snap. So, right. So when you see Rook and Harding fall, all of a sudden, remember, there's a long bit of scaffolding. All of a sudden, you see Rook looking up as Solus as he realized, oh shit, the Avenue is to lose.
Mary's up behind me.
Yeah, and there is a little blob moving that has a glowing thing on him. But remember, it also looked like there was rocks. My theory is that I think what it was is that during that time, I think Varric tries to grab the dagger. And I think, you know, in his reaction, he probably used magic to knock him away. He falls and snaps his spine. Or maybe gets impaled that severs his spine with the lyrium dagger. And I think that's what happens to Varric. Because one thing about it, his Bianca, his beloved Bianca, is shattered. His weapon, his tool, his instrument of death has been devastated. That is a part of Varric's heart. The fight's gone out of him. He's too old for this shit. Then he's stabbed. He's mortally wounded by someone who he trusted implicitly. When you think about what John Epler said, Barrick thinks he's the best judge of any character. Remember, he's gonna sell Solas on a new story of why he shouldn't do this, and he can't even fight his own friend. When he was like, and I so relate to Varric when he's like, minimize, people are dying. You need to listen. The performance is just, it's not good. It's good. It's good. You know, and he's like, please, and he drops his weapon, his instrument of how he faces combat, you know, and you understand the significance of what Bianca means to him. Solas says, I won't hurt you, I'll hurt what you love. Instant, the fight is out of it. He tries to still fight, but now someone who else may not be as beloved as Bianca, but someone who he loved like a brother in combat has now wounded him to where he's like, I was wrong about everything. You understand? And then when you get that trailer that reveals the date, you hear Varric's voice saying, Rook, you don't know how to quit. Because there's probably he's saying, I used to be just like that. And I can't do it anymore. Only you can. Right? So when you understand how I'm seeing it, I know Varric isn't there. There's no way they could have killed him.
Oh, yes.
He's too vital. And I'm pretty sure he's going to play an advisory role. And then also, a lot of people complain that, oh, Varric's hair is so dark, no one can see the color. Well, they said, well, there's other lighting you'll see Varric in. Well, you'll see the hints of red. Now, why else would we see him in other lighting if he's already dead?
Oh no, he's alive. He's definitely alive.
And then in the what, that 20 minutes footage where you got to see the big Canary Rook with his bare feet that everyone seems to be talking about, which is hilarious. Look, if you like feet, you like feet. But so many people pointed that out, and I'm like, okay, so he's running around barefoot. So do I. All right. So there's a scene where you see Varric's face on the map. I wonder why. Is that a tombstone, or is that someone you can go have a chit chat with? Talk to. I wonder. Right? But what do you have?
That I do think that Varric is still alive. I think it's very convenient that, you know, the way in which that scene was spliced was like, yeah, you're still alive. Like, there's no need for us to cry about it. Varric is going to survive. The theory I have is that because of the similarity, and this is something I've casually mentioned, but I do want to draw more on it. In I think like the first half of this video, that because of the fact, please go watch it, because of the fact that Trick Weeks wrote both Solas and Modern Solas.
Yeah,
I do think that they are going to basically explore their character arc in the same way. I've already established that these are two characters who believe that, you know, whatsoever crime they are committing is for the good of the people. They believe that they are in their rights. They are very intelligent people, you know, and so they are driven by that conviction. And we see Modern go from that in Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3, where he then realizes that he needs to step in and help fix what it is that he broke. Yeah. And the price for that was his life. Yeah. And I do think that as much as I love him, and I've stated it earlier on in the video, yes, Solas is my heart. I love him. I romance him. He's one of my favorite characters. I understand where he's coming from. I do think that Solas would die. The Solas we know from Inquisition, the Solas we've seen and experienced so far, is like, even if he makes it to the end of Veilguard, he's not going to get it. I think his story is going to be tied to like the story of his friend, the Wisdom Spirit. Yeah, that the old version of Wisdom died, and then there was a new one that was then released. And I do think that is the same thing with regards Solas. There would be a new Solas. But like this old Solas is going to do like modern and be like, I have to step in. And this is based off of, so I do think that the decisions we'll take you know, with regards as Rook, where we get the chance to either work with Solus or work against him, because like if we trust him, it's going to be similar to how, you know, Solus and the Inquisitor worked together to save Wisdom, the spirit, to then evolve, and you know, and that might be similar to
that was fated for her quest. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes. So we see the similarity for that with regards. I see that's my own theory. I see that happening with Solus as well.
I can see that.
And you know, it's possible because pride does come in different forms, right?
Yes,
there's always and like just like with every form of spirit, right? You can look at the negative aspects of pride. Well, there's also nothing wrong in being proud of your work, in being proud of who you are, in being proud of your identity, in being proud of the history, in being proud of the lineage from which you come from, in being proud of the sacrifice that was made, you know. And so therefore I do think that you know, is passing, or the character arc that he's going to undergo in this in Veilguard is going to move from pride, the one that they say comes before a fall, the one that brings destruction, to, you know, a more the pride of being, the pride of, you know, taking satisfaction in a world you've saved, in things you've done well, right? Because there's something to be proud of with that. The Veilguard, for them to be able, should they succeed, and of course you're playing the game, the expectation is that we do succeed, that's why we're playing this game, they should be proud of what they're able to accomplish. And I do think that the Solus pride that they would get at that end is going to be different from the Solus pride we meet in the beginning. Now, do I hope that new pride Solus still gets with Inquisitor Lavella? Yes. I'm not even sure, because at that point in time, I guess it's when we get to that point, because then my Lavellan has to wonder, is this the Solus she's always loved, but just in another facet? Or is it the same Solus? Because if it's the same Solus, then great. If it's a new Solus, does she love the new Solus, or does she want her old Solus? So like, it's going to be complicated. But I'm happy. But yes, so that is
I feel it already.
That's my theory. That's my own theory.
Okay. Oh God, that's honestly, I co-sign on that. I don't want Solus to die. I really don't. But it's like, how do we redeem him? You know? Oh, God. Okay, BioWare, do you see what you're doing to us? Oh, my God. Anywho, when it comes to the spoilers and the choices, what do you feel about, you know, everybody's complaining about, oh, there's too many spoilers, and the choices, because that was a big point of contention as well when we learned that our options have been limited to 3. So what's your 2 cents on the matter?
Okay, I will start by saying, please everybody, this is my opinion.
That's it.
There's no need for you to bring your pitchforks.
Right.
I am a very big fan of the saying that opinions are like assholes and everybody's got one. So this is just
I'm gonna use that. Continue.
This is just mine. Spoilers. Nobody has a gun to your head.
No. Nope.
Nobody has a gun to your head. So I have been on the internet for a while, and so I would hold yours hands as I tell you this.
Yeah.
Nobody is forcing you to watch anything. Yes, I accept that the internet, like, a lot of people have got to the part where they do not understand how spoilers work and how to do proper tagging. And that is sad, because a lot of people are losing internet etiquette. Internet etiquette was something that was pushed in when this was like when we were all growing in fandom, and the internet became our place of comfort, because we understood the unwritten rules of do not like, do not read.
Yeah.
If something does not work for you, then it is not for you. It is always good for you to walk away.
Yep.
And you can always curate your space. That's always been the thing about fandom. So I understand that a lot of people have they've lost sight of fandom etiquette and do not do proper tagging. So those I do not blame you for, because I can understand being very frustrated because someone else does not understand how to tag. I can also understand being very frustrated because Twitter is now a sinkhole because Elon Musk rat. decided to just break shit, and so blocking does not work as well. And I get it. That's also the reason why I have other, like, social media sites where I can sometimes go into where things are actually working and I can keep my peace of mind. But so I understand, like, being spoiled by accidental things and being offended. But I have realized, for example, Game Riot have been putting up the clips of the first, like, basically uploading the entirety of the 6 hours playthrough. They are clearly in breach of the agreements that they had with BioWare. And I've seen people be like, BioWare's marketing sucks, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You also understand that people suck?
Yeah.
Your assumption that BioWare is the one telling Game Riot to upload this, when in fact we have been told by other creators that BioWare did specify that there are certain clips that they do not want people to put up. So therefore, these are people that are in breach of that contract. It has nothing to do with BioWare. All BioWare did was that we're comfortable in our game enough for you to play the first, like, to play 6 hours of it straight across Act 1. That is them showing in good faith that they've done a solid product. Just because people are assholes and are like, you have people like Game Riot who are basically uploading even the things like, and the people I'm calling assholes are not the other creators. Like, Cypher is awesome. Cypher of Tear is awesome. Kala is awesome. Eddie is awesome. Gil is awesome. There are people that went for this thing. Even Ashe is awesome. There are people that went for this thing that are following, the recommended, even Brandon, because they are following what it is that EA said, oh yes, you can put this up, right? You have people like Game Riot who are clearly not. But even with that, I have seen people be upset about all these videos go in. And all I want to hold your hands as I say, nobody is forcing you to click on this video. Even with the Game Riot, I saw Game Riot, I'm like, oh, these guys are clearly uploading everything. I don't care. I am going to ignore
that part.
They have done their bit in that the thumbnail is just always a character, like the character they are playing as. They are not giving anything spoilery.
They're not saying anything.
And I am grateful for that. But will I ever click on it? No, because I want to be surprised when I get this game. You can say that you do not like the marketing, and that is fine. Remember what we said, everybody has assholes, just like they do opinions, and we can share them. That is fine.
Right.
So this is me just sharing mine. But personally, I can choose what part of the spoilers I want to interact with and what I don't. People are like, oh, why are you telling us to go off of social media? Why are you telling us to go off of Twitter? And yet I have seen that the same people that were like, why are you telling us to go off of Twitter, are the ones in the comments of this spoilers being like, oh my God, this is fire. And I'm like, pick a struggle. Also pick a conviction. Yeah. If you're going to be upset about the spoilers, then stay away from the spoilers. Yes. Because if not, then it just feels like you're just being upset for being upset. Like, it makes no sense. That part.
And that makes no sense.
The question about the choices, I did not mind. Once again, maybe it's because, yes, we started with Inquisition, but I have been using the keep religiously. I feel as invested with these characters, and I do love, the little bits, right? For example, the old quest with Cole, when you help him reunite with Reese and Evangeline and help him find them on the war table, like, all of that is so cool. Also, nobody should also come and retcon and pretend like when the war table missions were dropped, fans were not like, this is a shitty way. Because we remember when they were all like, this is a shitty way to bring back choices. We do not like the war table missions. Now the war table missions is the best. But like 10 years ago, they were terrible. Like, I'm like, you can't please people. You can't please people. So I don't mind the 3 choices. The only one I had a problem with, for example, was the whole question of who drank from the well, because I think that should have mattered. But then at the same time, I was like, yo, I could, if I was the one that was writing this, and I'm not saying that I'm in any way of the caliber or skill of the writers, right? Because the writers are fantastic. But I'm like, there are only 2 possible people that could have drunk from the well. Inquisitor. And those 2 possible people are going to be in this game. So if I wanted to bring it in, all you need is for like conversation through dialogue for Rook to be like, were you the one that drank from the well, Morrigan? And if Morrigan says yes, that locks that question, so you cannot ask the Inquisitor. Right? Do you understand? Or because you cannot even, if you say if Morrigan says yes, you don't have control of Morrigan. But instead, you can have it be Rook, be like, but you drank from the well, didn't you, Morrigan? In which case, you have decided that Morrigan is the one, you as the player have decided that Morrigan is the one that drank from the well. You can seal that part of the conversation. Or when you meet the Inquisitor, you can be like, but you drank from the well, Inquisitor. What were you thinking? You lock it in. So that means the Inquisitor in your world is the one that drank from the well. Like, that is the only really pressing other like choice that I think. And I'm like, they have those two people there. You can use dialogue to get to that point, because a lot of people that were immediately reactive, I'm like, but you don't know how they're going to explore it. Because just because there's no way in which you can impute it in some website does not mean that dialogue cannot be written in a way that gets you to like answer some of those questions, to build that, right? And everything else. And so that covers that. The other question of who you romance, I find it very funny because, you know, I have seen part of the fandom be like, oh, this game is only concerned about the Solus Mantas, right? Because everybody else's romance does not count. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Why do you think they're asking? They're like, oh, because, and I'm like, you're doing that thing where you're being irrational and illogical. Why would they ask you if you romance if it does not? If they tell you that the reason why we limited the amount of options and choices people could make because we wanted to really give meat to these choices and fully depict and explore how they are reflected in the story, why would you think that who they romance does not matter? Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
But see, that's the thing. I can't really add to that, because honestly, you said everything I was thinking and feeling.
Because I ranted so much.
No, it's all good. I ain't tripping.
Okay, so this is one of my absolute favorite questions to ask. Because, okay, so let us talk about our roots.
Okay.
Because this is all we're going to be. Starting 31st, we're going to be Rook for a while, because I tend to play this game over and over and over and over and over and over again. But so, what is your Rook going to be like? What is their faction? What is their class? Who are they romancing and why? And if there's any other information you want to add in there about your Rook, please do so. And yes, once again, this also applies to those who are watching this video. Your thoughts on the choices, on the spoilers, please join us in the conversations in the comments. And also, please tell us about your Rook if you can. But Micah, over to you.
Well, thank you. Oh, what a topic. Okay, for those of you who don't know, hi, I'm Micah, because who else would I be? I already have a sample of Rook of what I designed him to look like. I want him to be a Ravani elf, Lord of Fortune, pink hair, big muscles, you know the drill. But I have an idea of what I want my Rook to be. He's gonna be a mage. He's gonna be a spellblade. You can't tell me nothing. It's already chosen. But seeing some of the gameplay, and because I like necromancy and I think it's interesting in death magic, I'm also thinking about playing him as a Mournwatch mage who might be human, and I might model after myself. And I don't know, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth, but I think I'm gonna stick to my guns and go with my Rook named Clementis, which is an actual real character I created. And also, if you're watching any of my content, Baldur's Gate 3, you'll see him there. But yeah, I'm fascinated about the Lord of Fortunes. You know, there's something interesting about them when they first mentioned the Lord of Fortunes, when you first start seeing the artwork, and then at Dragon Age Absolution, when you meet the Dwarven Lord of Fortune, there's just something interesting about being a bounty hunter, treasure seeker in this magical realm. And imagine doing it as a mage, and you know, you have an understanding of magic and artifacts, and you're on these wild adventures. So that's what drew me in. And then also my patron, Isabella, is Ravanian, and also I'm assuming she too is a Lord of Fortune, so I don't know, something about that just, it drew me in. And we're in Tevinter, magic matters. Why would you not want to play as a mage? Even though that's always my go-to, but why would you not want to play as a mage? So those are the factions, the class, and why I want to explore this avenue. And also, of course, I want to play as an elf because I can't get those pointy ears. I just can't get enough. My romance option is, it's almost a coin toss at this point. It's either going to be Davrin or Nev. And I am struggling so hard because Balara is also inching her way closer. And I'm like, God damn it. Wait a minute, lady. I'm still trying to figure out these two. And it's in so many things that I want to romance them. I want to romance a warden because way back in the day when they first revealed the different factions, when we didn't realize they were factions and we saw Solus painting the fresco, I was like, ooh, I hope we get to romance a warden. And at the time I was like, ooh, a female warden. I think that would be fun, right? But lo and behold, and insert Davrin and I'm sold. And it's almost like, where his romance could potentially lead. So I'm setting myself up for failure. But I want it. And he's so fucking pretty. It's like, I want it. I want it all. My thirst overrules my judgment and I just want Davrin, okay? And then when it comes to Nev, it's just something about her. I'm just so here for her. And the way she was written, even in Tevinter Nights, when you read her character in Tevinter Nights and you see her come off the page and into this world, and like Noria was saying, we get to see so much of her, more than the other companions. It makes me like her even more. I can't wait to have those intimate discussions with her. Will they be intellectual? And then that whole scene with Rook, you and me, that's what scares me. And it's like, it's baby, me. You know what? Let me put that bass in my voice. Baby, ain't nothing to be scared of. You safe. Okay, look. Y'all don't understand. I'm ready, okay? A boy is ready to love her, and I am here for it. And then Davrin, I want to understand his story. Like, what made him want to become a warden? Why? What did you see in your world where you say, I don't want to reflect on history, I want to make history? And then understanding that, how he responds to the elven gods. And I notice, if you guys have ever listened to Vows and Vengeance, which is absolutely amazing, he mentions Anjul in his story. So how will he respond to all it? Like, I need to know. I have to know. And I want to know, when my Rook moves into his room, or he moves into the room with my Rook, does Davrin come too? And can I put him in a bed? Like, I just need to know this. So
I think you meant Asan, because you said, does Davrin come to?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Asan. Yes, the baby.
The baby you get a so adorable.
Right? Like, I need him. I need a plushie. Like, BioWare, get on this. I even want a rage demon puppy. The rage demons that were running around yeeting people off the bridge. I need one of those too. Like, can I have one? I just need it today. But those are my choices with my Rooks. And I'm really interested, and I like what you said earlier. How my Rook is going to be antagonistic, but from antagonistic to understanding. And remember what the dev said, there are going to be things about your Rook that Solus is going to be like, that is me. And
reflecting, I hate it.
Right?
I hate it.
Right? So imagine. That's why I'm so fascinated to see how Rook is going to play in this world. And this also, when it comes to spoilers, we've seen so much, but there's so much we don't know, because we don't know how Dorian plays into this. Mayveris, we're into Tevinter, y'all. We don't even know who's coming back outside of Lady Morgan. I don't know. I just can't wait to see this. And how I intend to play my Rook is that he he has a chip on his shoulder, so he'll be sarcastic. He'll be purple Rook, but he's also someone who cares about the people, you know. So he's also going to be sensitive and be emotionally intelligent. That's how I want to play him. But how will that fit into the narrative properly? Like, I can't wait. What about you?
So I would say that my Rook as well is going to be a Lord of Fortune, because I do love, like, we love yes. The Lord of Fortune faction, piracy, like,
right?
One Piece. I'm sorry, but
Let's
like
go.
I can just imagine Luffy being like, treasure.
Yeah. Right?
We get to be the Lord of the Sea. Yeah. We get to be the Pirate King. So yes. Definitely Lord of Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing as a city elf, a Tevinter city elf, who used to be, oh yes, for those that need to know, her name is Larima. Larima.
Pretty name.
I'm going to, I've already explained to Micah the history behind the name off of this video. And I think when I'm doing because I will do a let's play, and I know that Micah is going to do that as well. So we're definitely going to be watching. But when I'm doing my next let's play and I'm like crafting and putting together my route, I would explain why I chose Larima as her name. Mm-hmm. But she's Larima. She used to be a city elf, a slave to one of the magisters. And then a dwarven Lord of Fortune did come into Tevinter to do work for one of the did work for one of the magisters in Minrathous. And so by the time, after I had done, by work I meant the magister was like, find me something, this. Guys like, got it, okay, here is what you wanted. And then the magister is like, here's your gold. And that is when he noticed my character Larima. I was like, okay, you know what, I'll pass on the gold, I want your slave. And the magister is like, sure, you can take her. And he takes her. He's like, I'm setting you free. This is just me finding a way to adopt you. Whatever you want to do. She's like, oh yeah, sure. I'm joining the Lord of Fortune. Sure. And so they are the only family she's known. The only ones that have shown her, they respect her, they love her, they are there for her. Especially with the background we got for, the Lord of Fortune, whereby you're Rook. You did kind of like piss off the Rivani nobles, because she does not suffer nobles. She's like, she really hates bullies. She hates people that believe that just because they have power, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Which, spoiler alert, it means that she really cannot stand the fucking Evanurus.
Right.
Which ties to her background of why she would work from antagonistic to understanding souls, because she ranks him as part of, the meathead people who just want to take advantage of powerless folks. And then she realizes that, oh no, he has always fought for the freedom of his people. And in fact, that was why he attracted Evanurus. And then she's like, okay, you know what? She cannot live with the fact that she played a role in letting dickheads like the Evanurus free. So she's extra invested in that, because they just remind her of the magister who owned and thought he could play with her life however way he wanted. So that's it. That's a very long ass background. I'm still going to go into more details because you all do not understand how I've been thinking about this girl in my head. So class, she's going to be a warrior. I know Micah is like, well, it's a winter, let us do magic. And I'm like, yes, but like warriors are also pretty magical.
Right? Yeah, the warrior class look pretty dope. Fair.
It's pretty dope. Like all the gameplay. If you're avoiding spoilers, I'm like, it's a good way to still like get some information on the game without getting story spoilers. Because I've been watching that. There's a YouTuber Noza, that's NORZZA, that has combat related breakdowns. You should totally see that if you're still unsure of what your class is, because that video definitely helped solidify. So I'm going to be playing a two-handed warrior, a slayer, because Larima likes to be in the thick of battle. Like, she revels in it. She's bold, she's brash, she's also, like Clementa, she's emotionally intelligent. So usually her brain is working extra hard. She's like, can we talk our way out of this, or should we just fight?
Right.
And so she's fine either way, right? She can either smooth talk you, that's fine. But if you're like, nah, if she's like, nah, you want to throw it down, she's like, I will meet you in hell, and she's down to fight. And sometimes she's just like, I'm just going to fight because I don't like your face. So she's also like that. So definitely a two-handed warrior, a slayer to be precise. Romance, she's romancing Emmerich, and I know I have said it before, I love Emmerich. Just like you, Micah, I want the Ascent plushie, but I also want the Manfred. I want, like, if we can have like a key holder, like of little Manfred and all of that, with his pouch and his goggles, and you can hang your keys, and I can just be like, oh my god, look at Manfred, it's going to be so cute. BioWare, give us merch.
Yes, we'll give money.
We'll give money. So yes, I definitely am romancing Emmerich, just because of the fact that I think that she would bring a level of chaos into his life that I find fascinating, because Emmerich looks very sedate. He is a member of the Morn Watch. He's walked his way up. He's very cool. He's very calm. He's very respectful of the dead. Even with the way in which he talks, like, you can tell he's somebody that is very conscientious. And so I think that he would not know what to do with Larimer, because she'll just keep like encroaching on his face and being like, oh, I think you're cute, and she's like, I'm old enough to be your grandfather, and that is hot. Like legit the kind of thing that she would be saying. So that is how I envision her. With regards what she would look like physically, I have said that I am going to draw inspiration from Tati Gabriel. I role in Sabrina the Teenage Witch as Prudence, and also I wrote in the Uncharted movie. So it's going to be very snarky, sarcastic, down to fight, down to do everything, and all of that, and also loves jewelry and pretty things, because she's a bounty hunter, she's a fortune, like she loves jewels. She loves jewels. She's somebody that has
going to be on point.
Her drip is going to be on point, and I think Issa Clementis is going to have like pink hair. Yeah. Like, so Larimer is going to have like bluish green. I want to go for like turquoise. If we can get that in, I think we can get that in game. But yeah, so it's either going to be like really bright blue or like a turquoise. I'm still undecided. But when I'm working through, I want to see what like fits, because of course she's going to be black, and of course she's going to be an elf. But I want to see which color like makes her features pop the most. That is what I'm going for.
And I just gotta say, for a Lord of Fortune to have colorful hair, it kind of makes sense.
It makes sense, right?
It makes sense.
And like, if there's anybody that is going to be like, honestly, I think the two people that I honestly am a fan of them having colorful hair, Lord of Fortune, and get this, if you're playing a cherry cheaper, and this is for people that are still brainstorming on ideas for their Rook, if you're playing a cherry chipper Morn Watcher, like, imagine a member of the Morn Watch
and you're super bubbly,
bubblegum hair, pink lips. She's like, I like color. I think she's like, yes, I work with the dead, and the dead are cool, but also the dead loves color, and so do I.
So do I. I love it.
It's gonna be so much fun. But yes, so.
Oh my goodness, it's so funny that you said it. It makes me think about even though he's a bit of a hot topic right now, Neil Gaiman's version of Death in Sandman.
Oh, Death of the Endless, yes, because I love her so much.
Could you imagine her as a Morn Watcher? I could. If I could figure out how to make that happen, I will. Okay, y'all. Look. But anywho, right? But the last question is, what are your biggest hopes for Veilguard? Like, what is your biggest hopes to see?
Okay. There's an interview, for those that do not know, the last interview that IGN had with John Epler has no spoilers. I absolutely recommend it if you can find it, where they talk about, it wasn't just John Epler, like with the rest of the team, but John was front and center.
Yeah.
When they talked about, what Veilguard means to them. It's a return to form for BioWare.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, they have a problem with that statement of return to form. Or like, are they trying to imply that BioWare has not done that? And I think a lot of people forget that the last BioWare game was Anthem.
Yeah.
And Anthem, whilst entertaining in some cases, is not a story-driven, character-driven story. That's not what Anthem is. Mm-hmm. So knowing that BioWare realized that, okay, we are going back to what we're good at, and seeing them talk about every single time they talk about it makes me very happy. So that is one thing I'm hopeful for with Dragon Age The Veilguard, that, you know, it's a return to form for BioWare. We're able to get a fantastic story, one that makes us laugh, that makes us cry, that makes us feel emotions, one that changes us on a fundamental level, the way the other games in the series so far have done. I'm also hopeful that it's also a way to save BioWare as a studio. I know a lot of people have had thoughts and opinions about BioWare. Oh, everybody has left. They are terrible. They are this and all of that. And every time, you know, we talk about it, like even when I talk about it on my channel, I mention the fact that when I speak of BioWare in this way, I'm not talking about the corporate heads, the ones that are, you know, always all about their money and their bottom line. No, I'm talking about the developers, the artists, the creators, the animators, the writers, the ones that are also just as much BioWare. I want them to continue telling good stories.
Yeah.
I think that we as a people are so deep on hating a lot of things and celebrating the downfall of, you know, studios and stuff, and I don't want that to be BioWare. I don't want that to ever be BioWare. I believe that, you know, as a people, art matters. We need people telling stories, and so therefore, and as like, if you're watching this channel, if you're watching these videos, this 2-part videos, you're someone that clearly loves Dragon Age. You're someone that clearly loves BioWare. You're someone that clearly loves video games. And so therefore, I would consider it a win for like BioWare to do well. I want this to be economically successful for the studio. I.e., I want Dragon Age The Veilguard to sell a lot of copies. I want it to be very economically viable for the studio, but I also want it to be critically acclaimed.
Yes.
Right? I want it to be critically acclaimed. I want it to be that people are like, not only is it selling like on a financial level, but it's also a very fundamentally good game.
Yeah.
I also want it to be a love letter to fans that have been waiting for this for the last 10 years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? I want it to be, you know, we are wrapping up the story, but we are also bringing the things that you as fans love.
Yeah.
You as fans enjoy about a Dragon Age game. And so, like, if we're able to get this, it will make me very happy. So those are my hopes for Dragon Age The Veilguard.
I like it. I co-sign on it. I want this game to do extremely well because I love Dragon Age. We've already shared why we love it, why we're involved. We spent a long time talking about it, in case you didn't know. But yeah, like, and then like you said, like about the people who put their time, their talent, their energy, their thought, their love. It's also in this. No matter what version of it is, the final product, somebody who cared about it put their hands on it. And I want to see those people be rewarded and praised for their work. Rather, if they're still at the studio or they left, they get their accolades, and they're well-deserved accolades, you know? And and think about it like this. If BioWare goes away, what happens to Mass Effect? I need another Mass Effect. I want more Dragon Age. Like,
I want more Dragon. I want Mass Effect 5. I want Dragon Age 5. I want Mass Effect 10. I want to be like you be like in the home, and then you be like, Grandma, there's a new Mass Effect game. Yippee!
Right.
I'm telling you.
like guys, like this studio has been around for as long as I've been married. I've been married for 15 years. So, well, not the studio, this franchise, correction. This franchise has been around for as long as I've been married. So something that's been around that long, there's ups and downs, there's hills, there's valleys, there's even deserts. But eventually you find an oasis. And I think, I feel, as I said before, that Veilguard may be that oasis we've all been waiting for. And it's when we get into that oasis and we dip into that cool water, which is this world and this story, we'll realize that it wasn't just an oasis. There was an entire other territory of land, of story to get lost in, And that, I think a lot of people, like you said, they get so caught up in the hate and the negative, and unfortunately it's so palpable because it's so unfortunately loud. But what's louder is your love and your passion for this franchise, and that's all we've been sharing is our love and our passion, our hopes, and to any BioWare devs who are watching, we are here for you. We support you. We believe in you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be making this video,
No, we would not.
No, look, there are people dedicated their entire YouTube channel career to your company and your stories. And I believe Veilguard will definitely be one to go down in the history books as a great game. And I can't wait to say, we told you so.
Told you so.
We told you so. Right? Like, oh my God. But yeah, that's my hope. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. But any closing thoughts, remarks before we wrap this up?
I would just say, please, let's keep our eye out for Dragon Age The Veilguard, which releases in a week, people. In a week, we will get to meet these people, we'll get to meet these characters, we'll get to return to Thedas. And I think that as we play and as we lose ourselves in this world, like Micah said, I think we should take a moment to thank those that have put in the work to give us this. But yes.
Well, guys, there you have it. We want to thank you so much for your time and attention in our videos. We hope that you enjoyed. Be sure to check out everyone that we mentioned in the video. Check out their videos, their channels. Absolutely phenomenal content creators. Make sure that you do check out Veilguard, which is dropping, probably by the time you see this video, it might already be out. So make sure you get yourself a copy, play the game. Make sure you visit the content creators that we mentioned, because some of them, by you purchasing the game through them, it doesn't give you a discount, but it does help out the content creator. So make sure you do that as well. But with all that said, if you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you did like it, just give us a down. Yeah, just do it anyway. It helps us out.
You can just do it.
It all
YouTube
helps.
is like, it's all interactions.
Yeah, it's all interactions. It helps us out in that algorithm. But until then, remember to live, think, and dream big. You must always choose love over fear. And if you do, a son will love you for it. So,
he
really was. Think about that baby. He's too cute. But my dear Noria, can you help me tell all of our viewers, bye?